very happy to see you from Dubai. And this is Anne Philippi with us. She's a very interesting person who was a glamorous journalist who was writing for GQ Germany, who was meeting top celebrities, stars, and successfully working with them in this glamorous world. And now she is more into mental health. She is CEO of New Health Club, and she is more interested in mental health. Happy to see you, Anne.
Thanks for the invite. Very interesting. And it's my first Russian Dubai podcast.
Wonderful.
So
So
that's
tell
great.
me, please, why you changed your job from being in this glamorous world in meeting the celebrities? And by the way, whom you met? Tell us, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why you
Okay.
changed to mental health?
Yeah. I mean, I lived in California, in Los Angeles, and as you already said, I wrote for GQ and did all the Hollywood interviews. And I met, I mean, mostly male actors because I worked for GQ. So my week started with George Clooney and ended with Tom Cruise, and it was
Not
very
bad. I will
interesting.
say it's not a
Not
bad
bad.
choice. It's
Not a bad
millions of
week.
people dreaming. Start from George Clooney and end up, I don't know, with Brad Pitt. That's a
Yeah,
wonderful beginning. It.
what it was very interesting for a while, and but then some things happened that, for example, I felt, and this is of course now very clear to us all, that this whole classic celebrity world didn't really move forward anymore. So, and the idea of a celebrity changed. Like, for example, entrepreneurs became more celebrities than Hollywood people. And also, I found that, I mean, everybody who's ever been a journalist knows that you had less and less time to talk to people, and you found yourself asking about what kind of white T-shirts they would like, and then that would be the interview. So at one point, the
You mean that
whole
interviews become very shallow? There was
yeah,
no
yeah, yeah.
meaning in that,
Yeah,
yeah?
and you would have like 10 people in a room, and everybody would say would ask, oh, do you like Hanes t-shirts, or do you like Yves Saint Laurent t-shirts? And that would be the topic, and the whole interview would be over in 10 minutes, which it still was a very interesting moment to meet those people, but you can imagine it kind of became, it didn't make sense anymore in a way. Although it was great to meet everybody, there was no real, you felt kind of almost like empty leaving these interviews, which were not even interviews anymore. So, and then I went back to Berlin,
And do
and I
you
wasn't,
think this is
yeah,
the
sure.
problem of journalism in general in the world, or it is only in California when working with the celebrities from the movies? What is that? Because
Yeah,
I
what?
agree with you. Working 7 years in Nikkei, this is the third largest newspaper, economical
Oh, wow.
newspaper. I also
Okay.
noticed that we cannot talk more. You need to make it cut, tak, 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 tak,
Yeah,
tak,
yeah,
kind of
exactly.
TikTok, very quick. Do you
Yeah.
think it's in general in journalism or only when working with celebrities?
I think it's mainly with celebrities, and because I mean there are amazing journalists out there today and doing amazing stories, and sometimes even about celebrities like the New York Times. But then they can spend a day with that person or having lunch at least or something. But I remember one of the last interviews I did was a big streaming service rented a whole hotel in outside LA, and 300 people, 300 journalists from all over the world were there, and just running to certain rooms and then talking to this person and that person, and it felt like really bad to be in that situation. Also for the people who got interviewed, they, it was a really strange situation that nobody knew each other, but you were supposed to talk to everybody in 10 minutes, like we said earlier, and then run to the next room. And I think after this, I thought like, well, this is not gonna go anywhere. So, and it's becoming a very strange feeling leaving these situations or these interviews. So, and that's when I decided to yeah, to leave that job also. Although I mean I'm interested in movies and entertainment. I love Hollywood. I watch a lot of shows, and but I didn't want to be that journalist anymore in that show.
What was the
So
most interesting celebrity and the most interesting interview in your life?
I think it was Michael Douglas, you know, the guy from Wall Street, and like so many other movies, but Wall Street might be his most famous movie. And it was interesting because he's like over 70 years old, and he was ready to talk about everything. So, and the interesting thing is, the older people got, the more interesting the interviews became, because they weren't so afraid anymore that their career could be over or something would happen to them in the newspapers the next day. So it was basically Jeff Bridges and Michael Douglas, and also who else was super interesting? Who would come to mind? Yeah, Meryl Streep, of course, and
What's about, because I'm a big fan of Meryl Streep. She's the
yeah.
one who
Well,
touched my heart. What was about her that surprised you?
what I thought, it was, she was very sweet and very motherly, almost, because I had a cold. I had arrived from the plane, and I was coughing a little bit, and she was like, "Oh, you should drink this. Here's the honey. Here's the tea." So she was super friendly, and but also the same thing. She was not afraid of, like, "Oh, how's this interview gonna go? Is this gonna look horrible? Do I need to be careful what I say and everything?" And I think, like, the older people were, the more authentic they were, and they really would.
But
They
tell
would.
me, please, Anne, how come these people, they're show business people, Meryl
Yeah,
Streep,
yeah.
Michael Douglas, they're not politicians, they're not Biden,
No,
they're not
no.
Putin. Why they should be that much afraid how this interview can touch the
Yeah.
world?
Well, I mean, it's because if you talk to people, I remember that very well, who were just at the beginning of their career, they were always very excited to do this. But if people had, like, a little bit of fame, and were on the verge to become maybe very famous, they often were very scared of saying the wrong thing. And it was mostly the people who were, like I said, just started to become famous. They were often very scared to say something wrong. And I mean, as you know, like, in these days with social media, it's like you say one thing, and it's like out there on Twitter. It's like, it's not in a newspaper anymore, and people read it, and next day everybody forgot. It's on social media, and then your career could be heavily affected by this. And so, I mean, of course, another thing is that all the Hollywood people were very good at making you feel super good, super acknowledged. Hey, so great to meet you. So, and it's also a very interesting art form, how to make people feel that they're very special to you, although you're basically not, because there are 150,000 other journalists after you doing the same interview, probably. And then if you ask them, how was the movie? Like, I'm so happy you asked me that question. So meaning that after you left the interview, you often felt like, whoa, I spent like 30 minutes with George Clooney, and we had a really good conversation. And then, like, a couple of hours later, you would think, like, oh, he didn't actually say anything. So, but it was always this rush, almost like a sugar rush. That was a rush, and then it was over very fast. But still, I mean, there were moments with some people, there were really interesting moments. And I also would never say that all these people are totally superficial. And I mean, you can't be stupid and superficial if you're a Hollywood star. It's impossible, because it really takes a lot of intelligence also. That's what I would
So
say.
you think that this becoming a star, a Hollywood star, it's not by coincidence. It's not that
No,
somebody
a 100% not. So, and I mean, those people often had careers that are like, I mean, these names I mentioned, they were in the business for 30, 40 years sometimes. And just imagine what has changed in the last 10 years in terms of entertainment. So they always have to adjust to directors, to, I don't know, storytelling. So, I mean, I'm really, if I think about it today, I'm really impressed how you can keep going with this kind of energy. So it's really interesting to me.
course,
So,
it's very interesting, and especially Mary Streep, who is not 20 years old, but much older, who
yeah,
stays
none
very
of them is. Yeah,
positive.
they're
What is
all.
her biggest secret, Anne?
Sorry, say it again.
What is her biggest secret?
I
What is the
think that,
secret of
yeah,
Mary Streep?
I think that she is absolutely, um, I mean, it sounds crazy, but she's not very vain. She plays what is interesting for her, and then she plays also very, very different things. And at the same time, of course, she always stays Meryl Streep in a way. So she plays Meryl Streep. I think that's her big secret.
That is a
So,
wonderful explanation. So now, getting back to Anne Philippi, you
yeah.
decided to start doing mental health after meeting thousands of Hollywood actors and being in show business.
Hmm.
What you can recommend us for mental wellness? Because definitely after Hollywood, I know that a lot of them they're using psychiatrists, psychologists, and
Yeah, of
a
course.
big machine is
Coaches.
working for them. Since it's important, I think if you are on media, on social media, on movies, and thousands of
Hmm.
people, maybe millions of people writing comments to you, it's not the easiest thing on earth.
No, no.
What mental secrets for mental wellness you want to share with us today?
Do you mean from Mina, or do you mean like what these people told me that
I want to know your own experience because you can
mm,
pick something from, from Anne Philippi and from
yeah.
Hollywood, but you can combine it with your experience. What you
Okay, okay. Well, I
does.
mean, I think as you already guessed, right? So most of these people had coaches, psychologists, therapists. I mean, it's a whole team around Hollywood stars, also in terms of mental health questions. And I mean, I think that's also something as a topic per se that became really one of the main topics in Hollywood, in productions, in interviews also, where people become way more open about this in the last couple of years. And I think that's also why we see way more companies building in the field. But I think to start with, if you, and everybody knows we're in a very special situation right now with COVID, and we can't interact like we used to, and we don't know what's going to happen. So I think it's very important to have really like a regular exercise. I think this is the number one thing that you can do when whatever the situation is, although it's not as easy right now, but I think that's super important. And then I think it's really also in these times good to have, let's say, a regular exchange with a therapist or like a coach, which you can do online today, like right now. And now it's a normal thing. Also, it wasn't a normal thing before COVID. It was like, like online therapy, that's really strange. And now it's like, what else is there? So it's the most normal thing in the world. And I mean, of course, and I hope I can say this here, but one thing that I discovered then after having done a lot of therapy, um, and also that became my podcast about and the company about, is um, a legal psychedelic therapy that people more and more start to look into in America, in Europe. And I think um, this is something that has grown tremendously in the last 2 years, and we're still in a difficult situation because it's often still illegal. But as you maybe know, there are a lot of companies in that field that are just being created and being invested in also. And I think this will be a tool that will become very normal in the years to come. And coming back to our celebrity topic, I watched a show on actually on Facebook with Jada Pinkett and her son Jaden Pinkett, who actually hosted a little show at home talking exactly about this, that they engaged in this. And then Will Smith had a biography out recently where he talked about his ayahuasca experiences. So it's interesting that there's the connection to celebrities. More and more celebrities are talking about this, that this actually saved them from becoming maybe very depressed at one point in their life. And Mike Tyson is opening up about this. So it feels like the 10 celebrities already talking about this very openly, which I find very impressive.
Tell me, please, Anne, you being from Germany, but working in
Yes.
California with Hollywood stars, which is completely or at least very different mentality things and very
Oh,
different countries and very different discipline and very different mentality.
yes,
What
yes.
what is the main difference between Germany and Hollywood?
Oh, there's so many differences. But I would say, you know what, the number one thing is that every time, I have to say, if I went to California, or I mean, I went back and forth for a while, every time I went there, after a week, my mind was really opening again to new ideas, to new thoughts, to new approaches. And then I would say when you come back to Germany, it's kind of more, your mind is kind of becoming not so adventurous and not so innovative anymore. So I think the biggest difference is that California, and that's a great quote from somebody from Berkeley University, is the place where new ideas get met with the least resistance. So you can think pretty much everything, as we know, and that's why all these great companies come from California. And that is something I find very unique in the world. That this, for some reason, is a place where you can have every idea. If it works, people will support you. Not no idea is too crazy, as we know from Tesla or Apple. So, and then in Germany, of course, is more like very critical, sometimes too critical. And but then again, it has, if people, once people make up their mind that something is working and good, then they will stick to it. That's the upside, I would say. And whereas California, people are very easily bored because there's so many things that are happening, and it's such an interesting place that it's more like a playful attitude than Germans have, I would say.
That is very interesting observation because you did it in your own way and with some interesting touch-ups that maybe
Yeah,
all other people will not notice. It's only you can notice because you are from
yeah,
Germany
yeah.
and spent a lot of
That's
years in
true.
California. And
That's true.
as my last question to you, Anne, what you will recommend after having such unique experience traveling back and forth, interviewing these celebrities, but now thinking about women mental health? What advice in this time you can give for women?
That's a really good question. It's actually, I think what's really important is to have a strong network of friends that you can meet online also. And we have a group of friends in New York, in Berlin, and in Brussels. And every Friday we meet online. Very rarely we don't. So that is super. I mean, in lockdown, that was super important because the Friday, the week ended with us meeting online and just saying, "Oh my God, it's crazy. What about you guys? How do you feel?" So, and I think that was something, especially we talked about this recently because we were able to meet the first time in real life again. So, looking back, this was one of the most important things. It's almost like a schedule. Then, Friday is the day where you meet your friends. So,
I
and
think
then,
it's a kind of that not everything that you cannot control, not the world is taking
exactly,
all the powers from you, but at least Fridays you are meeting with your friends
exactly.
and you who
Yeah, yeah,
decide that you are doing that.
exactly. And that's really like, that was never I mean, especially in lockdown where you wouldn't go anywhere at all. So and I mean, there was no way you would, Friday night was normally, you would say, oh yeah, let's go for dinner or something, but there was nothing. I mean, without the vaccination, right? I mean, there was no, it was totally insecure, like what would happen in the months to come. So but this was the thing that happened. So
So that is your advice. At least take a small role and take the role of something that you can control.
exactly. That's actually it's a good explanation. Like something you can control. But I think especially for women, it's really nice to have. I mean, it's not like Sex and the City, but I think it's really important to have a strong group of other women around you. I think that's really important to have.
Women in Germany and in USA, Hollywood, different or
Why
not?
not? Yeah. Oh, you mean if they're different? Yeah, very different. So I mean, I think in Germany sometimes what I don't like, and that's why I love Russian women, I have to say, I really like if people really, women really dress up and you have like the best, coolest dress and makeup and everything. And German women are not so much into that. So, and
No, we discussed that recently that German women, they are more sure of themselves. They think that their husband will love them like that. Men will love them like that. And we were discussing that maybe it's not that bad because they're that sure that they don't need to make thousands of Botox, plastic surgery. They already sure that everybody will love them. While for Russian women, we, how to say, perfectionists, and a lot of people, they're trying to do that and nothing is enough, and to be happy with who you are, I think that is a great achievement of
It is
women.
a great achievement, but I think, I mean, all the Russian women I met so far, they very, I mean, they have a great combination of knowing their worth, but still loving a good Gucci dress. So, and I think that's, to me, that's like South American women and Russian women are very inspiring to me, and Persian women too, because they're super hardcore, amazing women, but still they love to dress up. And that's something like sometimes German women shouldn't be so sure of themselves.
Guys,
Because,
very interesting comments from Anna Philippi, and I'm
wow,
very grateful, Anna, for being with us. I wish you good success in your way with mental health for men and women in
thank you
Germany
so
and all
much.
around the world. And I hope that you can use your interesting experience that definitely not people have in a most positive and prosperous way to other people,
Thank you
because
so much.
that is your magic, that is your key, and in a way you can
Yeah.
be a magnet. You can be a magnet who can use this power to help other people. That is what
Yeah,
I
I mean,
see.
I hope so. I mean, I hope that our podcast is doing that. Let me take a quick picture of the two of us. That would be
Yes,
great.
please do it.
Okay, hold on.
And
I
if you
have to
can
get
be
in.
so kind to send it also to Igor.
Of course, of course. Let me do another one here because this might be better that way. Your hair looks good. Okay.
Oh, your hair looks so beautiful. You remind me of Nicole Kidman.
Everybody says that, but I haven't. I just did a little bit of something. We don't have to put that in the
Tell us
podcast.
anything.
Okay, wait, one more. Okay, that's
And
nice.
now you
Okay, you
so
look nice.
professional from Germany, Anna Philippi. Thank you so much for being with
Thank
us
you. It
with
was great.
Hidden Hero. It was big pleasure. And
To me
of course,
too.
I want you to wish you all the success. It's interesting that my op, uh, it's not stopping recording. Maybe
Oh,
because
okay. Oh, now it did. Oops. Okay. Ah, okay. Okay. Oh, okay. I think we stopped the recording, right?